everyone, it's Jordan, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I've read before I started BookTube. So, many people are probably wondering, like, what books did the BookTubers read before they started their channel? I'm mostly going to be, I honestly would love to talk about it, because I don't want to wait until I hit certain subscribers to talk about them. And also, these books I'm going to be talking about, it's mostly the ones that I've read in high school and, like, in the beginning of a few years in college, because I mostly reread books in high school and some parts of college, so let's get started. The first book that I'm talking about is the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I love this series so much. I've reread this probably twice in my life, and I'm hoping to reread them soon because I love this series, and I reread a lot, like I said in the beginning of the video. I reread a lot of books and in high school and in college, so yeah, I want to reread Harry Potter soon, but I became a fan after reading the books and watching the movies. I kind of saw the movies before I read the books, so yeah, I just love the Harry Potter series. The next book I'm going to be talking about, sadly, is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I was a big fan of Twilight in middle school and high school, and I did not reread the books in college, but I noticed that a lot of people used to love Twilight, but then they don't like it. But for me, I've kept the books because they were a big impact in my life, like, once, so I'm like, why would I get rid of it as if they were a big part of my life? And I was a fan, even though I'm not big of a fan as I am now, but I mean, the only reason I would reread this is just to make fun of Bella, because I'm Team Jacob, and I'm always be Team Jacob, and she picked Edward instead, so yeah. The next book I'm going to be talking about is Shiver, or The Wolves of Mercy Falls by Maggie Stiefvater. I almost forgot her last name there. Yes, I've read this after I've read Twilight, because Twilight is a big thing, and I honestly love the Shiver trilogy or series than Twilight, because they made the werewolves in this one are different than it is in any other books about werewolves. They're wolves in the winter, and then they're human in the summer, so I'm like, that's really different, and I love it because of that. And yes, I have the fourth book. It's more of a companion, I'm not sure, and it doesn't follow Grace and Sam, so I'm like, I want to read it, but I gotta reread the whole series before I do that. So I still love Shiver. I just love Shiver more than Twilight. The next book I'm going to be talking about is the Percy Jackson and Olympians by Rick Riordan. I only read the first two books. I mean, I wanted to continue with the series, but I haven't been in the mood for it. But I really want to read the rest of the series because of the sequel series and all the other series that Rick Riordan wrote that are based on other mythologies. I'm like, I want to read those too, but I want to read Percy Jackson before I do that, because that's the first series that he ever wrote, and I just want to read the rest of them, so you guys should comment down below that I need to read the Percy Jackson books, the rest of the series. So I love the series, don't get me wrong, I don't hate Percy Jackson, I just haven't been in the mood to read the rest of the book, so please push me to read the rest of the Percy Jackson books. The next book that I'm talking about is Firelight by Sophie Jordan. This was another book that I've read that is like Twilight, but this is also better than Twilight. It's about this girl who is a Drakey, meaning she's a dragon that can form into a human, and then she ends up falling in love with a enemy who hunts for her kind. I'm like, yes, I honestly love this series. This is really underrated, because I don't think a lot of people talk about it on BookTube, especially like when they were Twilight fans. So yeah, I'm like, I love this series. I just think everybody should read it if they love dragons and forbidden love stories. So yeah, if you don't like Twilight but you want something that is like better than Twilight, I recommend Firelight. The next book I'm going to be talking about is Pretty Little Liars by Sarah Shiver. Yeah, I almost forgot. I had a brain fart there, but anyways, I got into the book series because the TV show was coming out, and sadly, I only read the first 3 books. Nothing wrong with them or anything, it's just I haven't been in the mood to read the rest, but I love Pretty Little Liars, and I'm sad the show ended, so I definitely want to read the book soon, but there is a really long book series, so I'm like, I need time commitments, so I might have to read each book's like 2 books a month or something, but I still love Pretty Little Liars, and I'm hoping to get to them soon because I can't give up on this series because I love the series, and I want to read the other books even though the TV show is different from the books. I just want to read the rest of them because I love them both just the way they are. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is actually by the same author, which is The Lion Game by Sarah Shiver. I just got into the book series because it's by Sarah Shiver, the writer of Pretty Little Liars, and also they have similar themes as Pretty Little Liars, and I only read the first book, but I want to read the rest of them, and I actually love the book. This also turned into a TV show, but I've noticed like one huge difference that I'm like, I did not expect that, but I definitely like the book, and I'm hoping to read the rest of the series like with Pretty Little Liars, so yeah, I definitely love The Lion Game as much as Pretty Little Liars. The next book I'm going to be talking about is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, also the Mortal Instruments. I only read the first 2 books, and again, nothing wrong with the series. I end up looking for books that are like fantasy because I'm a big fantasy reader, even though I'm like also love other book genres, but I read it because I think the movie was coming out. I'm not really sure, but I definitely love the first 2 books that I've read so far. I've not finished the rest of the series, and I wanted to read the prequel series as well as the sequel series, so yeah, I definitely want to reread the Mortal Instruments as well, so yeah. The next book I'm going to be talking about is The Hunger Games by Susan Collins. I became a fan since I was a sophomore in high school, and I read it. I marathoned the whole trilogy. I love the series so much, and you probably could not tell how big Twilight fan I am, or not Twilight, The Hunger Games. So yeah, I became a fan. It was like I read this when I was having the hardest time at school. It was like it was a terrible part of my life that I'm not ready to share it on my channel yet, but I will like soon, but I don't feel ready right now. But anyways, this helped me go through a lot, and I just love the message of The Hunger Games is no matter how bad the situation is, there's always hope. That's from what I got when I read it, and I'm still a big Hunger Games fan. I just can't give up the series because it became a big part of my life, and it helped me go through something traumatic in my life. So I love The Hunger Games, as you probably could not tell from other videos that I've talked about. The next book I'm going to be talking about is MASH by Ali Condi. I've read this when The Hunger Games was a big thing, and I love the series too, but I just don't like the last book. It was pretty much, but I still love the series, and of course I read this when I'm sorry that I keep saying Twilight when I meant The Hunger Games, but this was one of the books that they said if you love The Hunger Games, you will love this one. That's how I got into it, and I honestly love the first book more than the rest of the trilogy. So yeah, and I know some people don't like it, but for me, I just love it for the romance. Not like the world is okay, but I just love the books because of the romance. So yeah. The book I'm going to be talking about is Divergent by Veronica Roth. This is another book series that I got into because of The Hunger Games was a big thing, but what I love about it is because it takes place in Chicago, and I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, and I love the city of Chicago. So, and I love the cover where they show the landscape. You probably could not see that, but I also love the world, and I love Tris as a character. So yeah, I love everything about the book besides that it takes place in Chicago. The last book I'm going to be talking about is The Lucky One by Nicholas Sparks, and I'm also going to be talking about the other Nicholas Sparks books that I've read in high school and in college. This is the first Nicholas Sparks book I ever read, and I actually watched the movies before I've read the books, but I still love them overall, and Nicholas Sparks is a great writer, and I actually met him like 2 years ago, and for one of the books that he wrote, See Me, he was a nice guy, and I'm like, he's one of the writers that inspire me to write romance books, especially like the way he wrote them, but I definitely want to write romance books because of his books. So yeah, I love the Nicholas Sparks books, and I'm hoping to read a lot more in the future. So that's all of the books that I've read before BookTube. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up and comment down below some of the books that you've read. Like, if you're a booktuber, comment down below some of the books that you've read before you start your channel. And if you're not a booktuber, tell me what books that you've read before you started watching BookTube, because I want to know. And if you want to follow me on social media, I have Facebook under Last Reader, and I have Twitter and Instagram on Last Reader 19. I also have Goodreads, which I'll link down below. And if you don't want to miss any of my new videos, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!